Language is not decoration. It is architecture. It builds bridges or it erects walls. The words you choose are not simply sounds leaving your mouth. They are invitations, doorways, and sometimes even chains. People think love is about grand gestures, but often it is 3 words whispered at the right moment that can live inside someone's mind forever. Understand this. What you say is not about filling the air. It is about placing a seed that will grow in someone's imagination long after you've left the room. The secret lies not in speaking endlessly, but in speaking precisely. Words that carry weight don't shout. They echo. The 3 words I want you to consider are not the familiar ones you think you know. They are not the overused expressions that lose meaning through repetition. No, these words must be chosen with intentionality. They must awaken recognition, stir admiration, and create an emotional residue that lingers. Desire thrives on 2 forces, certainty and mystery. Certainty assures us we are seen, wanted, valued. Mystery leaves us curious, hungry, attentive. When you combine both in your language, you become unforgettable. So what are these 3 words? They are not simply about affection. They are about acknowledgement. Imagine telling someone, I respect you. Respect. It's not glamorous, but it's magnetic. Because in a world where people chase validation, respect feels like oxygen. Or perhaps it's, I admire you. Admiration carries weight because it highlights uniqueness. It elevates without exaggeration. Or maybe it's you inspire me. Inspiration is a mirror that reflects back someone's highest self. These words, respect, admiration, inspiration, are not empty. They are charged with recognition. And recognition is the engine of desire. Notice how little it takes. You don't need 100 sentences. You don't need constant reminders. In fact, repetition dilutes power. Scarcity makes words potent. Say it once, say it with conviction, and then step back. Let silence do the rest. Let them replay it in their head over and over, because the most powerful words are not just spoken, they are remembered. But here's the paradox. Your words will not land with force if they are given cheaply. Their power depends on the credibility of the one who speaks them. That means you must embody the respect you give, live the admiration you express, and reflect the inspiration you claim. Otherwise, they are just tactics. And tactics without authenticity create suspicion, not desire. So how do you use this in practice? You use it sparingly, at unexpected moments. When he least expects affirmation, offer it. Not when he asks for it, not when he craves it, but when he believes you are simply observing. That's when it pierces. That's when it surprises. Because real intimacy thrives on surprise. Predictability breeds boredom, but surprise breeds fascination. Remember, the power of these 3 words lies not only in what they are, but in how they are delivered. With presence, with conviction, with stillness. You don't rush through them. You don't throw them casually like confetti. You deliver them as if they are priceless, because they are. Words create memory, and memory creates attachment. What you say becomes what they recall, and what they recall becomes what they feel. So understand this. Every phrase you choose is either moving you closer to being unforgettable or pushing you toward being replaceable. Use these words not to manipulate, but to mirror back the best in the other person. Because when you make someone feel like the highest version of themselves in your presence, they will crave your presence in your absence. Let me leave you with this. Silence is powerful, but language gives it direction. 3 words spoken with intention can stay in someone's mind for days, weeks, even years. So be deliberate, be precise. Because in the end, people don't remember everything you say. They remember the one sentence that made them feel alive. Words shape perception. Perception shapes desire. This is the chain reaction most people never see, yet it governs the way we connect, the way we love, and the way we long for one another. What you say does not vanish after it is spoken. It lives, it lingers, it plants itself inside the other person's imagination. And imagination is where desire is born. Every word you speak either builds a bridge or erects a wall. You cannot afford to treat language as casual because it is never casual. Even in silence, words echo. The tone you choose, the timing you select, the precision of your message, all of it determines how someone experiences you. Do they see you as ordinary, forgettable, replaceable, or do they experience you as extraordinary, irreplaceable, unforgettable? The answer lives in your words. Desire does not grow from excess. It does not come from talking endlessly, repeating phrases until they lose meaning. Desire grows from the rare, the intentional, the precise. One phrase delivered with conviction has more power than 100 delivered without thought. People replay in their minds not the chatter, but the one sentence that pierced them, the sentence that made them pause, the words that shifted how they see themselves when reflected in your eyes. When you name someone's value, you awaken something in them. Say to a man, "I respect you," and it is not flattery, it is recognition. Respect is not common. Respect is not given freely. Respect is earned. When you give it, it carries weight. Or whisper, "I admire you," and suddenly you become the mirror reflecting back the qualities he most wants to believe about himself. Or tell him, "You inspire me," and watch how those 3 words ignite his need to keep earning that place in your imagination. These words matter not because they flatter, but because they touch identity. Identity is the fuel of desire. Think about it. The people who stay with us long after they're gone are not the ones who said everything. They're the ones who said something unforgettable. Their words stay in our bloodstream. They play back when we least expect it. They create a longing not for the words themselves, but for the presence of the one who spoke them. But here lies the paradox. Words are only powerful when paired with authenticity. Empty tactics create suspicion. Forced compliments feel manipulative. Words carry power only when they are congruent with the life you live, the values you embody, the energy you bring. If you tell someone, "I respect you," but you do not embody respect in how you live, the phrase collapses. If you say, "You inspire me," but nothing about your presence conveys inspiration, the words fall flat. Power is not in the syllables. It is in the credibility of the voice that delivers them. That is why timing matters. You don't say these words when they are expected. You don't wait for the moment he begs for reassurance. You don't use them as a strategy to control. You place them where they will be least expected, where surprise amplifies their effect. Desire thrives on surprise. Predictability is comforting, but comfort does not create obsession. Fascination comes when the unexpected collides with truth. And then comes silence. After you speak, let the air breathe. Let the words travel. Let him replay them. Scarcity is power. If you repeat something 10 times, it loses its edge. But if you say it once with stillness and certainty, it becomes unforgettable. Your silence allows your words to echo. Your restraint gives them value. This is how you live in someone's mind without forcing yourself into it. You offer them a phrase that elevates their identity. You deliver it with authenticity. You surprise them with timing, and then you allow silence to do the rest. They will think of you not because you demanded attention, but because you gave recognition. And recognition is rare. Remember this, intimacy is not built by saying what everyone else says. It is built by daring to say what few dare to say. Not cliches, not rehearsed lines, but words that strike at the essence of who someone is. When you do that, you are no longer competing with noise. You become the voice they cannot forget. So choose carefully, choose intentionally, because every phrase you utter either places you deeper in their mind or erases you from it. Language is not decoration. It is the architecture of connection. It is the blueprint of desire. And when you master this truth, when you understand that words shape perception and perception shapes desire, you will realize that you do not need to say much to live in someone's imagination. You only need to say enough to touch their identity, enough to ignite their curiosity, enough to let silence do the rest. Because in the end, people do not remember everything you say. They remember the moment you made them feel alive. They remember the words that made them see themselves differently. They remember the 3 words that changed how they desired you. And those words chosen with intention will echo long after you've gone. Emotional impact comes not from quantity of words, but but precision of them. In a world flooded with noise, where everyone is speaking but few are truly saying anything, the one who speaks with precision stands apart. Impact is not created by volume. It is created by clarity, and clarity requires restraint, courage, and intention. Think of the moments that have stayed with you, moments where someone said something that altered the way you felt about yourself, about them, about the relationship. They were not drowning you in language. They were offering you one sentence, perhaps even just a phrase that carried so much truth it could not be forgotten. That is the power of precision. Quantity is easy. Anyone can fill the silence with words. But the person who knows how to pause, how to distill, how to select the one word that matters, that is the person who creates impact. When you speak less but mean more, your words become scarce. Scarcity makes them valuable. Precision makes them unforgettable. The difference between chatter and impact is intention. Chatter is about you. Impact is about the other. Chatter wants to relieve your anxiety. Impact wants to plant a seed in their mind. Chatter demands attention. Impact earns memory, and memory is what breeds desire. Desire does not attach itself to those who speak endlessly. Desire attaches to those who leave you with a sentence that replays in your head when they are no longer in the room. It is the line that makes you pause at a red light and think of them. The phrase that resurfaces in the quiet moments of your day. That is not created by quantity. That is created by precision. Consider the difference between saying, "I like you," and saying, "You inspire me." One is casual, forgettable. The other elevates. One is a comment. The other is recognition. Precision lives in knowing the difference. It is the recognition of identity, not the recital of cliches that make someone unforgettable. But precision does not only come from choosing the right words. It also comes from knowing when not to speak. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is what allows the words you've spoken to breathe. Too many people rush to repeat themselves, afraid their message will be lost. What they do not understand is that repetition weakens words. Precision strengthens them. The less you say, the more space you give someone to remember. And memory is the real battlefield. If you want to occupy someone's mind, you do not do it by flooding them with reminders of your presence. You do it by giving them one unforgettable phrase that lodges itself inside their imagination. Your goal is not to fill the air, but to leave an echo. The paradox is this: precision requires more strength than quantity. It is harder to pause. It is harder to trust that what you have said is enough. But the one who dares to pause after delivering a precise line holds the power, because silence is not weakness, it is confidence. Confidence that your words will carry. Confidence that they will echo without your constant reinforcement. When you master precision, you begin to understand that your words are not just sounds, they are mirrors. They reflect identity, they name value, they awaken longing. And when you do that, you do not need to say much. 3 words can alter someone's perception of you. 3 words can ignite their admiration. 3 words can make them think of you long after you're gone. The truth is, most people are forgettable because their words are forgettable. They rely on cliches, on recycled lines, on endless explanations. But precision is original. Precision is specific. Precision cuts through noise. It says what no one else dares to say. It speaks to the heart of identity, not the surface of conversation. So the question is not, how much should you say? The question is, how precisely can you speak? Can you name the quality that makes someone unique? Can you choose words that are rare, that elevate, that surprise? Can you hold back when silence is more powerful than speech? Because in the end, emotional impact is not about filling time. It is about marking memory. The person who masters precision becomes unforgettable. The person who speaks endlessly becomes background noise. So choose carefully, choose intentionally, say less but mean more. Let your words pierce, not scatter. Let them be the line that replays, the phrase that lingers, the seed that grows. Because emotional impact does not come from the flood of words, it comes from the arrow of precision. And if you can master that, you will not need to chase anyone's attention. Your words will do the work for you. They will live in the silence after you've gone. They will create desire not because you demanded it, but because you planted it. Precision makes you unforgettable. Quantity makes you replaceable. And in the end, the ones who shape hearts and minds are not those who speak the most, but those who speak the most precisely. When you name someone's value, you awaken their longing for more. Recognition is one of the most intoxicating forces in human relationships. To be seen not just for what you do, but for who you are, that is what we crave. We live in a world where people are constantly overlooked, reduced, or dismissed. But when someone takes the time to put words to our worth, it creates an imprint that is almost impossible to forget. Value is not about grand declarations. It is not about exaggerated praise. It is about precision, about seeing a truth in someone that they may not even fully see in themselves. When you speak that truth, you do more than compliment. You confer significance, and significance breeds desire. Because we all long for the person who helps us feel larger, more vivid, more alive. Think of it. People don't remember every conversation. They remember the one sentence that shifted how they viewed themselves. The teacher who said, "You have a gift." The friend who whispered, "I believe in you." The lover who said, "I admire the way you think." Those words become anchors in memory. They are replayed in quiet moments. They change the way we walk into a room, the way we see our reflection, the way we demand respect. That is the power of naming someone's value. But recognition is not cheap. To name value, you must pay attention. You cannot offer hollow phrases. You're amazing means nothing if it is said to everyone. True recognition is specific. It is rooted in observation. It is delivered with conviction. And because it is rare, it is magnetic. Imagine telling someone, "I respect the way you stay calm under pressure," or "I admire the courage it took to stand up for yourself," or "You inspire me with the way you never give up." These words are not empty. They speak to identity. They tell the other person, "I see you. I notice you are not invisible." And once someone has been truly seen, they will long to be seen again. This longing is what makes recognition so powerful. It is not manipulation. It is not strategy. It is human truth. We are wired for recognition because recognition affirms existence. To feel valuable in someone else's eyes is to feel expanded. And when you make someone feel expanded in your presence, they will crave your presence in your absence. But here lies the challenge. Recognition loses its power if it is given constantly. It becomes background noise. Like perfume, its power lies in subtlety, in timing, in scarcity. Say it too often and it fades. Say it at the right moment and it pierces. This is why precision matters. It is not about drowning someone in words of affirmation. It is about offering one phrase that will echo long after. Silence is what gives words their gravity. When you name someone's value, let it hang in the air. Don't rush to repeat it. Don't undermine it with nervous chatter. Let it land. Let them sit with it. Let them replay it in their mind. Scarcity fuels desire, and silence gives space for words to grow. But never forget, credibility matters. You cannot name someone's value if you don't embody your own. A compliment from a hollow place feels manipulative. Recognition from someone who does not respect themselves feels insincere. The power of your words is directly tied to the strength of your presence. When you live in alignment, your words have weight. When you don't, they collapse. So choose carefully. Name value when it is real. Speak it when it is deserved. Offer it when it surprises. And then step back. Because once you awaken longing, you must allow it to do its work. Desire cannot be forced. It grows in the imagination. Your words are the seed. Their longing is the water. Time is the sunlight. Together they create attachment. This is why some people stay in our minds long after they're gone. They left us with a sentence that shifted how we saw ourselves. They awakened in us a version of who we want to be. And because we want to keep feeling that way, we keep thinking of them. They live rent-free in our memory, not because of their constant presence, but because of one unforgettable moment of recognition. recognition. So understand this. When you name someone's value, you hold the keys to their imagination. You become the mirror in which they see their best self reflected. And people do not walk away from the places where they feel most alive. Do not waste words. Do not scatter empty praise. Be deliberate. Be intentional. Be precise, because a single sentence that awakens longing is worth more than 1,000 words that fall flat. Recognition creates desire. Desire sustains connection. And connection, when built on truth, becomes unforgettable. In the end, the ones we cannot forget are not those who spoke the most, but those who said the one thing that made us feel seen. When you name someone's value, you awaken their longing for more. And in that moment, you stop being ordinary. You become the echo in their mind, the presence in their absence, the voice they cannot silence. Intimacy lives in language that surprises, not in cliches. The words that bond us are never the ones we've heard 1,000 times before. They are the unexpected turns of phrase, the moments when someone names a truth we didn't even know we longed to hear. Surprise is what wakes us up. It interrupts the autopilot of routine and makes us feel alive. Clichés, on the other hand, are the killers of desire. They are predictable, overused, stripped of freshness. You're beautiful. I miss you. I love you. These words, when spoken without depth, roll off the surface like water on glass. They do not sink in. They do not pierce. They do not surprise. And without surprise, intimacy withers. Think about it. The moments you remember most in your relationships are not when someone repeated the obvious. They are the moments when their words caught you off guard, when they noticed something specific, something subtle, something no one else had taken the time to see. I love the way your eyes light up when you're solving a problem. I respect the courage it took for you to walk away from that situation. I admire the way you keep your dignity, even when it would be easier not to. These are not cliches. These are revelations. They surprise because they are rare. They matter because they are precise. Intimacy thrives on novelty. Desire is sustained by the unexpected. When language becomes predictable, relationships slide into routine, and routine is the slow erosion of fascination. But when you introduce surprise into your words, you awaken curiosity. You create a sense of discovery, and discovery is the heartbeat of intimacy. Surprise is not about exaggeration. It is not about dramatic declarations. It is about truth delivered with freshness. It is about naming the overlooked. It is about seeing what no one else notices. This is why people fall in love with those who make them feel unique, because they are mirrored back to themselves in a way that feels one of a kind. But let's be clear, surprise cannot be faked. Forced novelty is manipulation. Authentic surprise comes from genuine attention. You cannot surprise someone with your words if you are not truly observing them, if you are not truly listening, if you are not truly present. The depth of your attention creates the originality of your language. When you see deeply, you speak differently. And that is why intimacy is inseparable from presence. You cannot connect deeply with someone if you are distracted, half there, rehearsed. Intimacy lives in the space where you are fully attentive, and from that attention comes the power to name something surprising, something new, something unforgettable. When you choose cliches, you disappear into the background. You become replaceable. Anyone can say, I miss you. Anyone can say you're amazing. But not everyone can say, I miss the way your silence fills a room with calm. Not everyone can say, you amaze me with how you turn pain into wisdom. Specificity elevates, precision surprises, and in that surprise you become unforgettable. This is why lovers chase novelty, why desire fades when predictability becomes the norm. It is not that love dies. It is that the language of connection becomes stale. To keep intimacy alive, you must be willing to disrupt the script, to say something unexpected, to remind the other that there are still parts of themselves and of you that remain undiscovered. But there is also power in restraint. To surprise someone is not only to speak differently, but to know when not to speak at all. Silence, when held with confidence, creates anticipation. And when words finally emerge from that silence, they they carry the shock of impact. A single phrase delivered after stillness can feel like a revelation. Remember this, intimacy is not about quantity. It is not about endless declarations. It is about those rare moments of recognition, those phrases that stop time, those words that replay again and again in the mind of the one who hears them. Intimacy does not need noise. It needs originality. It needs surprise. So choose carefully. Resist the comfort of cliches. Dare to speak with specificity. Dare to notice what others overlook. Dare to say what is true, not what is easy. Because intimacy is not sustained by repeating the obvious. It is sustained by discovering the hidden. And when you can master this, when your words carry surprise instead of predictability, you will hold someone's fascination long after your voice is gone. They will think of you not because you spoke endlessly, but because you spoke uniquely. You gave them a sentence they had never heard before. You gave them a mirror that reflected them differently. You gave them intimacy not through familiarity, but through discovery. In the end, the most intimate language is not the loudest, not the most repeated, not the most rehearsed. It is the language that makes someone pause, that makes their breath catch, that makes them see themselves through your eyes in a way they never have before. Intimacy lives in language that surprises, not in cliches, because surprise awakens. Surprise disrupts. Surprise creates longing. And longing is what keeps desire alive.